House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Hafa Guam, it's Tuesday. It's time for House to Home. I'm Jason. That's Liz. That's Gina. And we have a very, very wonderful guest. Now, we told you, remember, we deliver on our promises here on House to Home. And we said if you have any stories, if you have anecdotes, tales to share about your home buying, your home building experience, please share with us. And we are very, very honored and pleased to have Evita Lujan Espinoza here, who has built the home of her dreams. So, V, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And hi, Tina. Hi, Liz.
Okay, I know you have a very special connection with my two real estate BFFs here, but especially you and Gina share now a very, very distinct and special connection. So go ahead and break it down for us.
So I've been watching your show a long time. And so I watched an episode with Gina and it was during the pandemic, and my husband and I made the very difficult decision to sell the home that we built. We built as we were starting off, and we raised our children there. It was really heart-wrenching. And so I met Gina. I was inspired to contact Gina. And so Gina handled the sale of our home, and we moved to our home in EPAN. But it was not our dream home. It was not the home that we saw ourselves growing old in. It was a home that was built by someone else, designed by someone else. It definitely didn't meet the needs. And um, when we built our first home, we were starting off, we had young children, the budget was different. And you find as you grow older, you not only get wiser, but you become very realistic about your needs. And our needs changed. My husband and I, we were getting up there in age. Um, and then we have to think of things like retrofitting the home, right? If I'm going off base, let me know, redirect me,
No,
right?
not at all. Tell your story, please.
Yeah. And so Gina knew that so we were in this house, but I wasn't happy there. Gina knew that I wanted a home, right? I wanted something else. So my husband, Zach and I rather, we were going all over the island. I mean, we have seen every house that's been constructed pretty much from Umatic to Jigo, right? And we were going to every house in beautiful homes. Don't get me wrong. But every time I'd walk into a home, I'd be like, Gina, I think I want to put a walk-in pantry here. Gina, I think I want to do this, right? I want to do that. I want to make the kitchen white. And she'd be looking at me like, B, this house is already up there in price and you still want to make improvements? Why don't you build, right? And I said, okay. So that's how our journey began. And I said, all right, Gina, now we just need to find the perfect piece of property. But Gina, I only want to live in EPAN. And I only want a place that has the infrastructure there already. I don't want to have to worry about adding utility poles and things like that, right? And so I said, and Gina, first and foremost, it has to have a paved road. And so, and so one day I was at the gym and I get a call from Gina, but I'm busy working out. And so she sends me this map and I'm like, oh my God, right? So I stop, and Liz has this client, and the client's selling 2 lots in EPAM, exactly where I dreamed of living, Jason, right? So I call my husband right away, say, go down to EPAM. He takes a look at the lots, and there was a little bit of disconnect because he wanted the lot in back because his friend lived there. And I said, no, no, no. I contacted Gina. Gina, listen to Zach. This is the lot we're getting, he's coming down with the money now, block that off, right?
It sounds like that itself was a negotiation unto itself.
Yeah, it was non-negotiable. And so, and it was such a demand, Jason, I'll tell you, because this area, people want to live down here. And so the buyer for the back property actually wanted the lot we purchased. But I was like, no, 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 Zach, go. And so we closed on it really quickly. We paid the cash for it, we closed, and then began the next journey, building, right? we needed to find a contractor. And anybody who knows my husband and I will tell you that we are polar opposites. And so we have totally different ideas. So 8 contractors later, right? I found the contractors. My husband was like Xing everybody out. No, 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 no. Poor Gina. Gina was even recommending contracts. I didn't know what to do anymore, right? And so another girlfriend of mine recommended our contractor. And so we met him. Zach liked him, and bless his heart, bless the architect's heart, because they were able to have our idea and our dream really make it come to fruition. So it began with finding the perfect lot, and then finding the contractor. And that's what's really important, is finding a contractor that you can work with, but also having an idea of what you want, but more importantly, what you can afford to have. And for people starting off, their purchase or their build may be different from somebody like me who is in retirement age, right? So this is like essentially our quote unquote gumam and umku. In English, that's our old people's home, right? This is our old. This is where we are going to live, grow old, and till the end of our days.
You put roots down, essentially. Yeah.
We did. I mean, and although the home we sold was where we raised our children, home is where your family is, right? Home is what you make of it. And so this is our new home, and this is where we're going to create our new memories with our family, with our children and grandchildren.
You know, so, you're very particular about where you want it to be because you already knew the areas. But what about your floor plan? How hard was it for you and Zach to come up with a floor plan that you liked? Were you working on that like from the beginning? Like right after you sold your house, you already had an idea?
I had an idea. So I am not a social media person at all. The WhatsApp is the closest I have to social media. And so my daughter says to me, Mom, go to Pinterest, get a board, right? Create a board, get some pins. And I love Christina El Musa, Christina Hack, right? I love her designs. And so I would watch Christina on the course and be like, oh my God, that's what I want. I take pictures and find them online and pin them. And there was one house down the road from us in Cruz Heights that I absolutely love, but I still wanted to make additions, right? So I told Zach, listen, this is the floor plan I like, but I do want the master bedroom and all the other bedrooms separated, right? So opposite ends of the home. We must have, these were my non-negotiables. I wanted I wanted a double car garage that's enclosed, right? I wanted a walk-in pantry. I wanted my kitchen to be very specific. My husband is also hearing impaired, so I needed a room that he could watch TV in, and I could watch TV in the living room undisturbed. Because, if you understand living with someone who is hearing impaired, especially if they don't wear their assistive devices at home, the neighbors can hear their TV pretty much, right? And so it makes for a very uncomfortable situation. So in terms of floor plans, I told Zach what I wanted, and my husband is so creative, right? And so he put it together, and I would say, okay, move this around. And so we had our floor plan. Zach drew our floor plan.
Wow.
And our contractor took it to, I don't know if I'm allowed to say our contractor's name, but he had an architect, right? And so this architect, he didn't use the CAD like the modern architects do. He actually drew pencil and paper.
Oh, he went old school.
Oh my gosh, old school. But bless his heart, Jason, because I changed my design 15 times.
Wow.
And I didn't get charged an extra penny. So I mean, thankfully, right? And we had to change the design because one, we live in an area where there's no sewer access. And so you have to make accommodations for, you have to take into mind setback and zoning, right? And so we had to take into account a septic tank, a leaching field on the property. So we had to shrink the home essentially, right? And but we were able to make it work. My non-negotiables were in the plan, and then we signed the contract to build. We signed the contract to build, and it did take over a year, which I think new homeowners need to keep in mind is gone are the days of building a home in 180 days, right? 6 months. The pandemic has changed everything, and you're looking at a year minimum. And it can go anywhere up to 18 months to 24 months, depending on what your contract says, right? So ours was 18 months. Our construction contract was 18 months, and we actually completed at about 17 months.
Okay.
But that was my fault. That was my fault.
Let me ask. So Liz and Gina, we've talked for so many months on this show about, going through the process and the steps that you have to take to, get that perfect home and get all your ducks in a row financially, paperwork wise and everything, and then make a series of wise decisions. This is practical, a case study, right? We've talked so much about theory. How would you rate like V's experience in building the home of her dreams and what it can do for others who are thinking of going down that road?
She makes it sound so easy.
Yeah. Hey, Gina and I have.
I'm gonna go out there and do it tomorrow.
You don't look like V. You don't look like you stress out very easily.
Yeah. Gina and I have both built homes, so we both have our own experiences. And I think like V, if you get a good contractor, that could help alleviate a lot of the stress and the headaches. But you have to get in sync with your other partner, because if they have different ideas, I know one couple, I think they couldn't build because the wife kept changing the plans before they could finally build. So, man, that could create a big stir between couples, right, V?
Yes, and that was almost us. And I do have to tell you, Liz and Gina, I learned so much from you. And my husband will tell you, like he says, I wanted the garage doors. He's like, no, we're not going to do it. I said, oh, no. Gina said garage doors bring value, right? Gina said dishwasher, all these things, right? That Liz and Gina said. So I'm like, no. If Liz and Gina didn't say it, that's scripture, okay? I'm not listening to you.
So. Okay, well, Santa Gina and Santa Liz, what would you? Well, let me ask you.
I want to hear about the struggles, V, because I think
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay, the struggles were. The struggles were, and this is where again people need to understand the length of the process, right? The length of the process. But that length, people need to use it to their advantage. That timeline you should use to your advantage. So Zach was he was so frustrated. He just wanted to get into the house already. And he was coming here every day to the project. Eventually, our contractor started paying him because he was coming and he was like doing the work, and the contractor's looking at him like, what are you doing, right? But he's like, no, rush. I want to try and help get into the home. And so, but I, on the other hand, was saying, you know what? A year and a half seems like a long time. Let me do my research. I want specific vanities. I want specific cabinets. I want specific lighting. So while he was on the project side, I was doing the cosmetic part, right? And so that's one of the struggles, is looking for the things you want, especially like I am totally OCD. So if I want something a certain way, it better be that way, or my mind is going to have problems functioning, right? I'm going to keep going back to it. So one of the struggles is, yes, we do have great resources here, but they may not fit the idea that you're looking for, or the cost may be out of reach for some, right? And so that can be a struggle. That can be a struggle, is finding the things that you want, having the patience to make sure that your project comes to fruition. It's effectuated the way you want it to be, right?
How about the permitting process, V?
The permitting process, we were very fortunate because we did not have that same, I've heard of permitting processes where certain agencies will take months, but we were very fortunate because it didn't happen that, I guess maybe the timing was okay for us. But so we were okay with that. The permitting process was fine as far as we were concerned. It actually went by pretty quickly for us. I do know that because our contractor has projects lined up, he currently has 6 projects lined up, right? We did have some people come to see the house while it was under construction and as it was completed. And so part of the struggles that these people experienced was that this is your budget, right? This is what you can have. And then when you see other things and it's like, oh gosh, I really, really want this. But then you have to understand the market. We have to understand the price per square foot, the cost per square foot, the interest rates, right? And so that in itself can be a struggle for some. But if you do your research right, and if you are a good planner and you're organized, I'll tell you, even if your budget, whether your budget is big or small, you can get it done. You can get it done. Zach used to laugh at this Alibaba. Everybody laughs, when they hear the word Alibaba. But I'm going to tell you, my tub was custom made by Alibaba. My vanities were custom made by Alibaba, and they are beautiful. I have a 20K diesel generator I purchased from Alibaba. And so if I'm an internet sleuth, and so, or a self-proclaimed internet sleuth. And if you have the time and the patience to go out and search, you're going to find it. And if any homeowner out there, honestly, is in limbo, contact me. I will gladly connect them with my sources. I will gladly do that, anything, because it's one thing to settle, but if you settle, are you really at the end of the day going to be happy with the outcome, right? With the product?
See, and I feel that way, V. I feel like, I was going to ask you, which came first, your dream layout of your home or your budget? But I think you could kind of reconcile the two. You could have your dream idea in your head. If you know what price per square foot is running, then you could, okay, I want this, but the market based on pricing, maybe I have to go here. And then once you really understand what the lender is going to give you, then you can still refine that plan. But I agree with you, whether your budget is 300,000 or 3 million,
Right.
you can really sit and come up and build the home that you have in your mind. And it may not be tomorrow's dream, but it's today's dream.
Absolutely.
And that's really what we're encouraging people to do. And yeah, you're right. In the beginning, I could tell that you're going to end up spending too much money with our initial plan, which was I sold my house, let me go buy something. And, with everything you were saying, I already understood you were better off building and you already had experience with it. So I knew that was not going to be a shock for you. And I can't tell you how happy we are to know that you're sitting comfortably in your home, and every time you look at it, you bring big smile on your face, right?
Now,
You are my angel, Gina.
Now, my takeaway, if I may, V, is you are so blessed because you had the self-awareness to say, okay, like I know I got a good deal. Gina set me up for success with this home, but for whatever reason, by no fault of her own, this isn't it. It just doesn't feel right. You have that self-awareness and you said, okay, it makes financial sense and it's gonna make my heart happy. This is where I want to be and this is what I have to do.
Well, I think the important thing is she listened. And usually when Gina and I talk, we talk about what adds value. So if you're going to build a 2 bedroom, would that give you more value, or a 3rd bedroom if it's still within the budget and the garage? So I think for someone that, the advice on what factors will improve the value of your home is very important.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Gina, about about the budget because before, right about the time the pandemic started, the prices per square foot were still pretty affordable. And before you knew it, and so at the time we came up with our plan, I mean, we were looking at building a 4,000 square foot home, right? And the price per square foot was maybe about 120. Come the pandemic and eight contractors later, we closed at 160 a square foot. But if you are building, every dollar counts. And so I did not want to build a 4,000 square foot home at $160 per square foot. And so we downsized, right? But we still made it a comfortable home. And it was something that Zach and I are okay with, right? We were able to get our spaces and have everything we wanted accomplished. And so that's a very important. I'm glad you mentioned that, Gina.
Let's do more interviews like this. I like these. I mean, yeah, we'll have those episodes when, like, Gina goes off on the senators and everything like that. But this is good right before Easter.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? But she gives we wanted to have her on because she's giving everybody hope. Don't give up on your dream home. It's possible. And she said, if you have questions, call her. And we always say, if you have questions, call us. We are glad to guide you, whether we sold you land, didn't sell you land, helped you sell a place, didn't help you sell a place. We don't care. You need help. It makes us feel good to know we're contributing somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, call us.
That is wonderful. V, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. That was absolutely incredible.
Thank you, V.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Gina. Love you guys.
All right, and enjoy the breeze in Ipan. It's wonderful down there.
All the time. This is heaven. It's truly God's country.
That's right. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
All right, thanks. Bye. Take care.
House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.